You've seen the pictures, the feds dumping hundreds of illegal immigrants in shelters in states across the country, but not in Maryland. Why? It might have something to do with my next guest, Carroll County Commissioner Richard Rothschild. Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning, Peter. How are you?
So why aren't you allowing the federal government to dump illegal immigrants in Carroll County?
Well, there's a couple issues here, Peter. First and foremost, they blindsided us. You know, they're supposed to engage in something called intergovernmental cooperation, and blindsiding us and trying to dump immigrants into our community without our knowledge is simply not acceptable.
And so how were they blindsiding you, and how did the folks in Carroll County respond to what the federal government was thinking of doing?
Well, the folks in Carroll County were furious over this, and I can safely say 100% of the phone calls we received were against this policy of the federal government.
And so is it the policy of Carroll County that you'll never take any illegal immigrants, even though there's a national crisis? Explain that to me.
Well, my position is this. This is bad policy. There's nothing humanitarian about dumping hundreds of illegal aliens into an American city and stealing resources that would otherwise be available to handle our veterans, our disabled, our elderly, our disadvantaged people. You know, this is a zero-sum game. In the real world, there's no free lunch. And we are struggling right now to keep up the needs with American disadvantaged people, and we simply don't have the resources to handle additional aliens.
And what do you think is the motivation behind this? What do you think has caused this surge of illegal immigrants, these unaccompanied children, and what should the federal government be doing to make sure that places like Carroll County don't suffer the burden of these illegal immigrants?
Well, first off, it's completely unacceptable to import this problem into Maryland, 2,500 miles from the border. The fact of the matter is this. These are aliens coming out of Central America. They come up into southern Mexico, and they should be given relief in southern Mexico. The International Red Cross should be deployed. The international community can come to the aid of these people, but bringing them up through 1,700 miles of Mexico into Texas or Arizona and then transporting them 2,500 miles up to Maryland is not acceptable.
What's the ultimate solution, Commissioner? If not in Maryland, if not in another state, where do we put these people while they're being processed and while we're determining their fate going forward?
Well, as I said before, the International Red Cross should be dealing with this problem down in southern Mexico. The minute they leave Central America and get into Mexico, at that point, they're no longer refugees from Central America. They now have host, and they're now safe within Mexico, and that's where the aid should be delivered. But the ultimate solution to this problem lies in the United States Constitution. Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution requires the federal government to defend our states from invasion. And not only are they not defending us from invasion, but they are aiding and abetting in the invasion of this. And, you know, I want to point out that the Declaration of Independence states that governments are instituted among men deriving their just power from the consent of the governed. Well, I've got news for Washington, D.C. You do not have our consent, and we will resist.
Resist in what way?
We will resist. We will refuse to use the resources of our local government to provide any assistance. I instructed our cabinet members we will not provide translation services, social services, housing services, food services, you name it. We don't have those resources, and I'm not going to take them from American citizens and Carroll County citizens that are in need of these services to give them to folks that should not be in America at this point in time.
Thanks,
that
Commissioner.
aid and relief should have been deployed down at the southern border of Mexico.
We appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you, sir.
Good to see you.